said I'd never join.
Thought living on sub would be too hard.
I figured only the weatherman tracks storms.
I said my job wouldn't matter.
Never knew how strong I was. I never thought this would be my commute.
I figured I'd never get out of my hometown.
Or be the one who stops an attack. Joining the Navy sounds crazy. Saying never actually is.
Oh, hi everyone, and welcome into Behind the Helm. If you want to watch this show live, tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. Make sure to leave a comment down below, and we'll respond live. As always, find it, like it, share it, follow it. But if you want to watch the show after the fact, head on over to YouTube or on Facebook, where the shows are cataloged, and you can see all the comments and notes and still watch the show and any bonus content. If you just want to listen to the show, head on over to Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible, wherever you can find a podcast, and just search up Behind the Helm. Enjoy the show. Episode 86. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You are on the #1 military podcast in the entire Midwest, and you're here on episode 86. If this is your first time here, hey, what a good one to come in on Women's Appreciation Month, because we have a great guest that you're going to meet here in a little bit. And if this is your 86th time, man, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you being here. I know we're an hour early this week. We were an hour late the last couple weeks, but hey, sometimes you got to work with scheduling, and my guest today's got to catch a flight and is going to be coming to us from a lounge in a airport. So we'll meet her here in just a little bit. Again, make sure you smash that like button, follow, hit the bells, do all the algorithmic things that gets this information out there, because you never know who you might help. Whether it's for you or not, you might just find it a little entertaining. If anything, throw a comment down below to throw me off track, even though I do that just fine all by myself. So before we get started, got to do our homage to the Eagle. How you doing, buddy? And since my guest is a Navy chief just like me, we got the Eagle a little patch. This has the 3 different chief ratings. This says Navy Chief, Navy Pride, and it will get hung up with our other patches. This comes from a buddy of mine. He runs a company that is called Blue and Gold Apparel, and they do more than just Navy stuff. They do command shirts and all kinds of things. So by all means, find them on Facebook or wherever if you're looking for shirts, sweatshirts, things like that. He can do anything. It's pretty awesome. And in about any color for a pretty decent price. So definitely check him out. But that'll be our homage to the Eagle today. So what are we doing today? Well, we're still in Women's Appreciation Month. If you've been paying attention the last few days, I have a really special guest who is in the Navy as well, but has had some amazing successes. And when she actually first joined the Navy, she didn't stay in it active the whole time. So we're going to find out more about that. But I want to also plug the fact that I need to get to 1,000 followers on Facebook before episode 100. We're getting there. We're over 900. I know YouTube is more popular, but we haven't been on there very long. Really just followers anywhere. So make sure you're sharing this out, getting people to follow it. Like I said, you never know who you might help. So we really appreciate it. So don't just hit the like button. Make sure you go to the page and you like the page. You follow the page. You got to do that. All right. So I'm going to bring in our guest, and I'll let her introduce herself in just a second here. Let me get her pulled up. We should have no problem with audio for once. Let's see. Let me hit the right one. Yeah, there we go. All right. Can you hear me? You can go ahead and unmute. You're good to go.
Okay.
All right. You were an OS at one time, so I feel like me saying, comms check, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So
You would think.
All right, so you know what's really funny is I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name before the show, and I meant to, so that's why I didn't pronounce it, because I didn't want to mess it up.
That's okay. It's Latonya Perossier.
Perossier?
You can say it just like that. I like it like that.
Oh, okay. What would you say it one more time?
Perossier.
Perossier. Okay, my bad. I missed the R there. Been practicing some different languages, I guess. I don't know. So you're active in the Navy right now. You're Navy chief. You're hanging out in an airport. Where are you at?
I'm in San Diego. I just finished an Embark to Sea with some VIPs here, and now I'm heading back to Millington, Tennessee.
You got to go out to sea for a little bit?
Not me, no.
Oh, okay. Well, you said like yeah, go ahead. You're like, no,
so the Embark.
I'm past that. Nope. Mm-mm.
So an Embark to Sea is we take VIPs from different places, different NTAGs. They nominate different peoples to go, different VIPs to go on an Embark to Sea, and they flew on a Osprey on yesterday, day before yesterday, and they flew out to the Carl Vinson, spent the night there, and flew back on yesterday, and now we're flying back home today. So they get to see the Navy experience, get to talk to junior sailors, get to ask them all kinds of questions about why they joined the Navy, what do they do, how they feel about the Navy, and different aspects of their lives and their careers. So it's a really great event.
And you were saying that they flew out on an Osprey, which for anybody, if you ever get a chance to look it up, they're really cool to see. It looks like a regular plane with propellers that are going forward, and then those propellers actually can go 90 degrees, and it can take off vertically. So pretty cool aircraft. And we had a few comments. Yes, Dave, my mom answered it for you. There is a Bears football. I know you're a Bears fan of the Patriots football. You said, what's up with the Patriots football? Well, when it was me and Levesque doing it before football season, one of our homages to the Eagle was a small football of each of our teams. So since it was an homage to the Eagle, I can't take it down. It just has to stay there. So it is what it is. But, you were speaking about, having those VIPs go out. You're in San Diego right now. And, they got to ask different, junior sailors, like, their experience in the Navy and why they joined the Navy. And, there's so much to talk about with you, okay, that, you have a total combined naval service of about 30 years, right?
That's correct.
That's a ton. So you're getting ready to go back to Millington, and then actually you're coming to my command in April, and we didn't even realize it. I didn't. My captain actually said something to me about it, and then when I had mentioned it to you, you're like, oh, yeah, you'll be in the greater Detroit area, I think like the second week of April, I believe, for an event. So that's really cool. So, hey, look, if you really if you're from the Michigan area, or you're going to be up in the Detroit area, you have an opportunity to meet this absolutely amazing woman, and we're going to get into that a little bit. So obviously, you're traveling a lot even with your job now, but where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Louisiana, and then about 13 years old, my mom decided we were going to move to Texas because she wanted us to get education out in Texas, and spent most of my life there, back and forth, because she also wanted to keep us in Louisiana because it's a small town. She wanted to keep us grounded. But most of my education was in Houston, Texas.
Okay. All right. So Texas mainly. Nice. It's funny you say that about Louisiana and the education, because on my last ship, before I left, our HM1 there, I used to joke with him all the time, because he said when I would ask him something, he'd be like, look, man, I only have a high school education, but it's from Louisiana, so you have to talk slower. You're just being funny. So, because we used to talk about the difference that there's Louisiana and then there's Shreveport. It's not Louisiana. So I'm not from there. This is coming from people from Louisiana, so, hey, don't hold it against me. So originally from Louisiana, Texas, that area, Houston. You said Houston?
Yes.
Houston, okay. And then, the big question always is, what motivated you to join the Navy? Why Navy? And when?
So one of the things that happened, and it kind of influenced me a little bit to join the Navy, but the first thing that happened was I was in high school, and I was a high school senior, and Montel Williams came to my school. He was in the Navy at the time.
Oh, yeah,
And he
good
stood in
point,
front of
yeah.
us. Yeah. And he stood in front of us and he said, you can be anything you want to be as long as you believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that blew my mind. Like, nobody had ever said anything like that to me before. And so when I went off to college, um, I thought I had this great scholarship,
Yeah.
and it wasn't so great. And I
You
was
didn't read the fine
struggling. And
print.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I was struggling, and I said, you know what, this is not how I want to do this. And I was actually going to join the Marines because I thought their uniforms were cute.
Did
Probably
you
not
say,
the
I'm
best
sorry, did you just use
idea.
the term
Yeah.
Marine and cute in the same? Oh my goodness. Okay. All right.
I did. And but when I went into the recruiting building, because this was in Houston, downtown, I was going to school
Mhm.
downtown. And I went into the recruiting building, and the Marines office was closed and the Navy's door was wide open. So I walked in, and my recruiter was named, I think he was a BM1 at the time, or he was a BM, and his last name was Green. And I was like, hey, put me in the Navy. And he just looked at me. He was like, are you serious? And I said, yeah, put me in the Navy. Took the test. The next day I took the physical, and I was in the Navy, and he and I have been friends ever since.
Wow.
And that was over 30 years ago.
Wow, that is crazy. So
Yeah.
you didn't go necessarily right after high school, right?
No.
You kind of dipped your toes in the college world for a minute, and I now realize why you moved your camera where it is. Because I'm hoping now that my wife doesn't watch this, because your husband's ring is going to put mine to shame, and I'm going to hear all about it. That is a beautiful wedding ring. Holy cow. I'm trying to pay attention to what you're saying, and I'm just looking at that like...
Thank you very much.
Yeah, beautiful ring.
He did very well.
Yeah, he did, right? He had to. Yeah. So, economy's different, easier to get in. There's still a lot of stipulation with women in the military. I think the 90s was where we really kind of really started to step forward into being a lot more, we always say equal opportunity, but I feel like we say that and it's like an open door or a closed door thing. And then the 90s is when we really said, like, no, hey, for real, like, we're not doing this. You know what I mean? So with it being Women's Appreciation Month, and you being, a young 20-year-old, African-American woman too, joining the Navy, I almost wonder, like, when you walked in and said that, was your recruiter just like, what? Like,
He was.
And you actually joined, you wanted to join, you wanted to go, and you did something that a lot of people sway people away from, which is undesignated, or the PAC Seaman program. And what's funny is most PAC Seamen that stay in the Navy, they end up telling you that, no, it's not a bad program.
Yeah, it wasn't. I came in as a PAC seaman. I got to see a lot of the different jobs that the Navy did, and I decided I didn't want to do anything that was going to get me dirty. So, listen, you have to know me to understand this.
But I'm saying, like, you went in, you said you want to go in, and they were like, you know what, undesignated seaman, that's what you need.
Right. They you already know what was happening back then. So in order to join as a female in 1992, you had to score at least a 50 or higher. I scored a 50 on the dot, and they gave me undesignated.
Which now, if you score 50, if you score 50, they won't even let you go on des. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But back then, a 50, and I was undesignated. And I honestly believe that was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because I got to see different aspects of the Navy, and it made me work a lot harder than I probably would have if I'd have came in with a rate. I wanted to make sure that I worked hard enough that no one would deny me whatever I chose.
Sure.
And so I chose operations specialist because they always looked really clean. Their uniforms were always pressed really nice. Their boots were always really shiny, and I wanted to look cute in my uniform. So that was that's my answer.
It's just
It doesn't make sense, but that's it.
It's really funny too, because we were talking beforehand, an OS or an operations specialist is somebody that very much is an operations specialist. They're in combat. They're setting at the consoles. They're running the gear. And I was the one that fixed the gear, and we always had a back and forth because I worked on gear that somebody else used, and it was OS's. And young OS's, you had to explain to them that this is a piece of gear that you don't do a trackball race with gummy bears to see if it can get into the trackball. We're talking real young OS's, so they were the bane of my existence. But, I wanted to show, we're talking about undesignated, and I think sometimes it gets a kind of a bad rap, and I want to show the video that the Navy has just about PAC seamen. I'm sure you've probably seen it before. You won't be able to hear it. Everybody else will, but it gives a really good view of what undesignated seaman is. And it's 2 minutes long because they can do a lot. So let's check this out real quick.
I know every rate that's on my ship. I know all about my ship. I like my ship a lot.
The PAC Sailor program consists of 3 main areas: airmen, firemen, or seamen.
You come in, you don't have a rate, but you can pick after your 1 year. You get to understand the rate more, I guess, because when you pick your rate before you leave for boot camp, you don't really see what your job is like, but picking from the fleet, you'll see what you do every day. You get training in almost every rate. That's why I really like it. It's all around.
Other people I worked with that were undesignated at the same time that I was, they went off and became machinery repairmen. I've had other people become hull technicians. We all went our separate ways. It just depends on what you like working with.
You'll select 3 rates, or you can put the same rate 3 times in a row.
I want to be an airframer. I passed the test, I made airframer. Well, I'm a chief now. It just goes to show that just because you come in undesignated doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck.
I said I wanted a cool job, just like every young guy does.
I wanted to do something with my hands and something close to my original job, which was a mechanic.
I came to my first command as an undesignated fireman, and I went to work for the hydraulic shop. I like putting my hands on equipment and like learning stuff and actually having a tangible product in which I produce.
Working with the airframers, that's your aircraft, you're responsible for it. You're getting the aircraft ready to go fly.
Being an undesignated seaman and working with the bosun's mates, that's where we really get to do a lot of the cool stuff.
Coming in undesignated gives you the chance to go out to the fleet, look at all the rates out there, and then choose what you want and know that you're going to be happy with your decision because you actually see it at work.
Yeah, so let me get you pulled back up here, Chief. I think we might have gotten dropped on Facebook.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know. It's still streaming. We're still recording, so it'll get posted if need be. And I have it on YouTube right up behind me and on my phone, and it's working there. But I got a message stating that they lost us on Facebook, so I'm not exactly sure why, but, well, I'll just have to repost it there. I'll have the recording, so sorry. That's all right. That's why we record it. Good news is it'll be up tomorrow in audio, and it'll be up on video. I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. That's weird. Haven't had that problem in a while. So anyway, so undesignated, right? So it's just funny you say you don't want to get dirty. You see that, but it's very diverse. It gives you an opportunity to get out there quickly. You do a basic seamanship school. You're not out there very long, and then, or you're not at the school very long, and then you get to get out into the fleet, and you can go anywhere with undesignated seaman. You can go on any platform. You can, literally go to any of the bases, and you get a chance to see what's out there. And like you said, it's different in the 90s, a little different back then. The fact that as a female to get in, you had to score 50, and now it's the same test. And, you're a recruiter, per se now, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and I am. We know that on that same test, anyone, male or female, scores a 50 now. They're considered the upper mental group. You're
Absolutely.
not, you're going to have a lot of different options. So different times. Right? Different times.
Absolutely.
All right. So you join, and we're going to kind of go through your accolades a little bit here. Again, you're on episode 86. If you're watching this later, especially on Facebook, because I think I'm going to have to repost it. I don't know what's going on. Make sure you smash the like button, share the feed, leave a comment. I know we're still live on YouTube and on Twitch, but I think it got slightly interrupted for a second, and somehow it dropped on Facebook. But that's okay. I'll get it back up there as soon as I can. So we're live on YouTube and Twitch for sure right now. Now you join 92, start out your active duty, okay? Your next big accolade, I would say, is you become a mother.
I did. Back in 1995, I had my first son, Tylen Robinson.
On active duty.
And on active duty, he grew up with me. And he went everywhere I went, and I got off of active duty in 96, got married in 97, had my second son in the reserves, and everywhere we went, because my ex-husband was active duty military, so we traveled wherever he went. So we were that active duty family that just kind of went everywhere, and he was in recruiting, so yeah, we went everywhere with him, and then my oldest son decided to join the Navy. In 2016, he joined the Navy.
Wow. So you have 30 years of service, but you started out active duty, and then you said you went into the reserve. So you decided to not re-enlist on active orders. Went into the reserves. You were in the reserves like 7 years, I think you said.
That's correct.
Right. Then you decided, you know what? I'm going to go on back, right?
I'm going to go on back.
Came back. So in the reserves, it's a little different. Did you keep the OS rating, or did you have to change ratings?
So a funny story, really quick story. When I first got off of active duty, I knew I had just taken the second class exam, and I was like, I bet I made second class. So I was trying to stay long enough to find out if I made second class and then get out. But they wouldn't let me. They wouldn't let me. So I got out. I found out I made second class. I was able to wear it for 1 month. and then they said, oh, you weren't frocked, so you can't wear it. So I had to take the exam again.
Oh, wow.
And put on second twice.
Wow. But
Thank
you did
God
it.
I made second again, right?
Yeah.
But I did it. I made second again. And as a reservist, I was the second class.
To E5.
E5. And I really liked the reserves because it gave me the opportunity to do a 2-week tour somewhere, having fun, getting away from my family, really. kind of just doing some Navy stuff for 2 weeks and really enjoying it. And I did that for 7 years. And then in Houston, Texas, I was talking to one of the recruiters back in Houston, the reserve recruiters worked at the recruiting center where we did reserves.
Right.
And so one day I was talking to them, and they were like, man, you should really do this. You would be really good at this. And I thought, I don't know. They were like, no, you really need to apply. I applied, and they hired me.
You applied for like CANREC is what we call it.
CANREC.
Basically, you come off of you're quote reservist. We talked about it a little bit on an episode quite a while ago, but you come on active duty orders to recruit. So you're considered a quote unquote reservist, but you're getting that active duty time, the active duty pay, and you're a recruiter. So
absolutely,
that brings you into recruiting for the first time. You hadn't done it. You did an active tour, and then you did a reserve tour. And speaking of different tours, we talk about re-enlisting and these things. I just want to put out for anybody who is curious. See, I've been plugging what I'm going to do for season 2 after episode 100, and they don't know yet. And I'm not going to tell them today, but what I will tell you is I will be re-enlisting myself. I have 12 years in December, and I am re-enlisting in the Navy for 4 more years this Sunday in Indianapolis. at the Indy Fuel game, which is a hockey team. They're going to let me do my oath of enlistment at the beginning of the game. It's a little bit more than I thought it was going to be. They're doing America the Beautiful, Color Guard, my reenlistment, national anthem while I'm on center ice. So that ought to be super cool. So if you want to see Navy Chief reenlist, get your tickets to the Fuel game this Sunday. It's at 4 p.m. Here in Indiana. So you come out of the reserves, right? You get selected for CanRec. We call it getting hired because you literally do have to get hired. The command has to look at you and be like, yes, we want this. I don't think people understand that it is different when it comes to recruiting. We don't get voluntold. It's volunteer, and you can be turned down. So
Absolutely.
What year was it that you came back to active duty?
So I came back on active duty in, I think it was 2003. I interviewed, and it was just like a regular interview. I had a suit on. You would have thought I would have had to come in a uniform. No, I was in an actual suit. I sat down and was interviewed. They liked what I had to say, and they hired me. And in January of 2003, I was hired as a CanRec, and went to recruiting school in March of that year.
Okay.
And it was in New Orleans. It was called RTO.
It's different,
Recruit Training Orientation. And it was 6 weeks in New Orleans.
Sounds good to me.
It was great.
I mean, it's not bad now. It's in Pensacola, which also isn't bad.
Right.
But I mean, being in NOLA for 6 weeks. Okay.
Yes, it was awesome. It was awesome. And then from there, and recruiting was different back then. Goaling was different, how they gold the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2005, active duty took over the reserve. Because when I was a reserve recruiter, it was Area South.
Right.
And Area South covered Texas, Oklahoma, and Dallas. Well, covered all of Dallas, Oklahoma, and I think that was considered Area South. And then in 2005, the active duty side took over the reserves, and we converted, and we were part of active duty. And so I was the actual first purple recruiter. They called them purple recruiters back then.
Yeah.
I wrote the first active duty contract and reserve contract.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've heard that because we were talking about it with Teox and stuff like that, with different things that we've done.
Yeah.
But there used to be specific reserve recruiters and active duty recruiters, and now we do both. But then we have prior service recruiters, which are a little different. But yeah, so we're talking back 2003. I'm still in high school. I didn't join until I was 26, so it was much later.
Okay.
So you come on these CanRec orders, and it's not guaranteed like full time.
No.
It's 3-year orders. You can extend up to 5, and then so at this point you're not what we call an NCCRF. You're not a career recruiter. You are a reservist that is a second class, an E5, and you get selected to go do this, right? So you start recruiting. Right. Where were you at? You were back in Texas?
I was in Houston, Texas.
Houston, okay.
So I came in as a CanRec in 2003. When they converted over in 2005, they converted me to an NC2. So I was an NC2 in 2005, and then in 2008 I made NC1.
Nice, yeah. 2008, you're an NC1. Converted you, so now you're a career recruiter at this point. This is your job.
Absolutely.
This is what you're doing until you either get out the Navy or they force you to retire. And we're only in 2005 here, so 30 years of service. We still got a ways to go. And I think some of your most amazing things we haven't even got to quite yet. But again, I want you, anybody who's out there, make sure you smash that like button, hit the bell, subscribe. I'll get this back up on Facebook. I'm going to have to put a recording up. It is definitely down hard there for whatever reason, but it is still live on YouTube and Twitch. I don't know what happened. But it's okay. So, all right. So now you're a CRF. Now you're active duty. Now this is your job. You're a recruiter. That's what you're doing. Then you have some other great opportunities that come up, right? Some amazing opportunities. Now, before I talk about freedom, right? What came first, that or becoming a grandma, a Gigi?
So I became a Gigi in 2015.
Yeah.
No, 2000. Was it 15? 16. 15? Good Lord. I can't. It's
right in that area, right?
Right in that area, I became a Gigi. And my grandson was born. His name is Makai Jordan Robinson, the apple of my eye. He is everything, and he knows it. He is the cutest kid you ever want to see. Um, he he's such a good kid. Like, you know, it would be if he was like the cute kid that was bad, it would be like he's a bad little kid. But he's such a sweet, just a sweet little boy. Just wants to make sure you're okay. He told me one time, he said, Gigi, because I was asking him what he wanted for Christmas. And he said, Gigi, well, how much money do you have? And I said, why?
Yeah, because kids don't understand that. And it's just like, yeah, because my son's asked me stuff like that. You know, well, how much is it? Well, you have that, you know, like, which I do, but that's none of your business. Get your job.
There you go. I said, well, why? He says, because I don't want to spend all your money.
Oh, but see, so he was asking being sweet. That's super sweet.
He was being sweet. I was like, oh, sweetie, I would never let you spend all my money, but okay, I like it.
Yeah. Right. So, and at this point, you're still first class. Right. So.
No, actually, was I chief?
You made chief. Yeah, I couldn't remember what happened first. If you made chief, or if you.
I made chief first. I did. I made chief before. Yes.
So you
before my grandson was born, I was a chief.
So people who've watched my show know that I was in and out and talked a little bit about it. And people know me. That's not an easy process.
No, it's not.
Indifferent, doesn't matter. You know, so went through that. So it's a major milestone. It's a huge thing in the Navy to become a chief. There are a lot of people in the Navy who will never make that. And not for lack of trying or anything like that, or they're bad sailors. It's just, you know, I tell my wife and my brother, one of my favorite things, I love my local American Legion and VFW. I'm a member there. I go in there, these old guys in there, and I literally walk in, Chief, and I'm like, oh, hey guys, you know, and there's one, these guys are my seniors, 100%. They're my elders, is how I was raised. And there's one that, you know, I have a beer with and play darts with. His name's Randy, and he's a Navy vet, and he calls me Chief all the time. Just like when we're talking, I was like, Randy, you call me Brad, man. And he literally looked at me and goes, no, I can't. And I was like, all right, like it's a big deal, like when you've been in the Navy to make that. So again, like, do we have a lot of female chiefs? Like, yeah, but I'm just saying, you know, going through the 90s and stuff, like, and then getting to that, and the fact that you were E5 twice, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And the fact that you were active undes, then went reserve, or, you know, struck to OS, went reserves, had to put on E5 twice, go the recruiting route, then convert to NCCRF, which is, I mean, it's a good community, but it's a smaller community. Pretty much, if you're a chief in the CRF community, like, it seems like every chief I know in the CRF community, they know all the other CRF chiefs. You know, the senior chiefs definitely do. And the ones, you know, when you're going up for, it's a lot smaller pool. So
it is.
Now you're in a smaller community and you made chief. You know,
so when I made chief, it was only 10 of us. They only made 10 of us
total out of that entire rate. You know,
entire rate. So
that tells you the numbers, and I'm not sure what the percentage was, the quota, but the fact that 10, and we're talking, I would say nationwide, but worldwide too, because we have CRFs that are in like Puerto Rico and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's not very many. You know, so that's huge. That's huge. So I'm sure you're super proud of that. and then you become
Oh,
Gigi.
absolutely.
So you're like, yeah, Chief
Then
is cool, but now I'm Gigi, you know?
now I'm Gigi.
It's all
Nothing
good.
matters.
Which you told me a great story where our Type 3s are our camis, which is in the welcome video that I'm wearing. You had bought your grandson like the little ones, and he was wearing them, and he got interviewed on the news.
He did, and he told them that his Gigi was in the military.
That's
he was
awesome.
Super proud.
Super
proud. So awesome.
That's great. My son the other day, so I always play the Navy video at the beginning of my show since this came out, the Never video. I love it. It's great. Mm-hmm. But us in the Navy, like, we kind of get jaded to it. The other day, I was talking to my son about the cactus he made for the show for the Amish the Eagle, and he wanted to see it. So I pulled up the show and was fast forwarding to. He says, no, play it from the beginning. I want to see that video. He thinks that video is awesome. So I'm like, yeah. And when the guy shoots the missile, I'm like, yeah, that's what I do. No big deal. It's cool to him. But yeah, so you become a chief, then you become a grandma, right? Gigi, because that's what your grandson calls you. And then you're still active duty. 2019. What'd you do in 2019?
In 2019, I ran for Miss Freedom USA Woman, and it was a pageant out of Florida, actually out of Jacksonville, Florida. Mm-hmm. And I lived in Orlando, so I competed. I drove to Jacksonville to compete for this pageant. And I did not think I would win. I just did it for fun. Sure. Every pageant I've ever done, I've only done them for fun. And I actually won.
Yeah. So
I was Miss Freedom USA Woman in 2019.
And I have their site pulled up. So again, like you said, it's out of Jacksonville. It's in July normally, Miss Freedom USA. And the pageant is for any age, from very little to any age, and it says the Miss Freedom USA pageant program combines beauty and excitement while providing each girl the opportunity to gain confidence, build new friendships, and achieve new goals. We invite girls and women of all ages to unite in this exciting opportunity and be a part of the inaugural Miss Freedom USA pageant. And then you can see down here it has the age groups. All right. And so when I had posted yours, so it was when I was posting it and said woman, I didn't understand quite, but it was because of the division you were in, right?
It was the division.
So you won that division, and then I was just curious. I was looking through. I pulled up the pageant 2019 here. There's a whole gallery, right? And it shows all the age groups. And as you can see here, these are all the contestants. And where is it? I think your first one, because I found you. Oh, there you are. You're right there. Look at you in that dress, strutting your stuff. Navy Chief right there. Navy Chief, grandma, mother.
That's Navy Chief right there.
Amazing.
Yep. Grandma, mother.
Amazing.
Everything.
Yeah, and we had posted the one picture of you like with your crown that you had sent us, which is awesome. Amazing. And so, yeah, like you're still active duty doing this, right?
I am. I was completely active duty.
And you, like you said, you did it just for fun. It was just, hey, why not? And here you are, there you are with your crown on.
Yeah.
Getting crowned. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful night. To win was just, it was great because then I got an opportunity to get into the community, not only as a Navy Chief, but as Miss Freedom USA Woman. And when those times that you're trying to get a part of different organizations that, the Navy is kind of like, they see the Navy, they're kind of like,
yeah.
But going in as Miss Freedom USA Woman, they were like, come on in. And then I told them what I do, and then I get to tell them the different opportunities.
Yeah, look, I got to do this. I'm active duty.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
right. And
that's so cool. Like you one, that you're on active duty and you're able to compete. And then what you're saying is, like, as a recruiter, like sometimes there are schools and places, not just schools, but places we try to go into, and they're like, recruiters, nah. But to be able to go in and say, like, hey, look, like, I'm Miss Freedom USA, like, oh wow, you should come talk to our young ladies, like, would love to, and here's why, because it's not just about that. I'm also a Navy chief. I'm also a grandmother, a mother, and a recruiter. And let me show you the fact that I got to do this. Awesome, so awesome.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't stop there. Your story gets even better, right? I think that's awesome. But then was this just last year?
Just last year.
Just last year, you become, let's add to this resume. You become a published author.
I do.
A published author. And I'm going to pull this up real quick. You can find her book on, I just searched it, and it is on Barnes & Noble. It is Letters to the 8-Year-Old Me. You can get it in paperback for $12. Just so you know. And I'm going to read what's on the book, but I want to read the overview that's on Barnes & Noble because I really like it too. In Barnes & Noble, it says, "This is a book of self-reflection and the ability to overcome the obstacle that had been put in front of me. This is my opportunity to heal that little girl that didn't have the chance to be an innocent child that she deserved. I hope that no one can relate to her, but if you can, I hope that this helps you heal and move forward in the journey of healing and reflection." So that's the overview of the book, and I have I was going to, and I'm going to pull you back up because I know you have a copy right there. Because I told you I was trying to get one before the show, and I just wasn't able to. So go ahead and show that. There it is.
It is.
There it is. And then I have right here, I have the back of the book, and I'd love to read this. It has this amazing picture of you, by the way. Holy cow, that's a headshot right there. No wonder you got that ring. So this is what it says on the back. It says, "In one weekend with a really close friend and a lot of tears, I decided to release all my hurt and pain with a letter to my 8-year-old self. This letter is a healing of my soul that I hope brings me out of the desperation I have lived in most of my life. Do I know for sure that this letter is going to work? No, I don't, but I have decided that I'm going to give it a try. I need for her to know that I love her and she is not broken and is worthy of love." So obviously this is, kind of tell us about this book, because me reading this, I hear like, okay, this is kind of a self-reflection, but also kind of a little bit of a self-help kind of book. Like, hey, look, this is how I dealt with things. Maybe you've never thought of it that way. What was the idea behind this? What brought this up?
So, one of my really close friends, her and I went on a trip for a weekend. I had a free stay for a hotel, and she always comes to visit wherever I transfer. So we did like a little staycation at the beach, and she said, "I'm gonna figure you out," and I'm like, because she's a good friend, and she was like, "You say some things that I really don't understand, and I really want to understand you. And we've been friends for over 20 years." So I said, okay. And we sat down, and I unleashed all this trauma on her. And she said, "You need to write that little girl a letter." And I thought, oh, okay, a letter. She said, "Yes. Write her a letter." She said, "It doesn't matter what you do with it. Just write the letter." And so once we left that weekend, I sat down and I really started to think, how do I write a letter to an 8-year-old? And what does it say? And I started writing. And I can't honestly tell you how I started the first chapter, like what made me start that first chapter with that. Because it literally was, when I first started typing, it turned into a book, because I sent it to her and I said, "What do you think?" And she said, "Keep writing."
Yeah, keep going.
She was like, "Keep writing. This is amazing." And I told her, because her and I have been friends for a long time, I said, "Listen now, you don't have to lie to kick it, because we friends and we don't do this to each other."
If it's bad, tell me it's bad. I need to know.
Right.
Like,
I was like,
Yeah.
if this is bad, please tell me. She started laughing. She was like, no, it is really good. Keep writing. So in the beginning, when I started writing my book, she was the only person that I allowed to read it.
Mm-hmm.
She read every chapter. Every time I would finish a chapter, I would send it to her and I'd be like, okay, what do you think? And she would read it and she'd say, it's amazing. And when I got to the final chapter, she was like, Tanya, you wrote a book. It is really good. Because the last chapter is literally the letter to my 8-year-old self.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and it's
Chapter
one of
8.
those things that, like you said, you were only letting the one friend, because it's a very personal thing, and like to publish it, I mean, you're putting it out there.
Yeah, and that was scary because when
Yeah.
you're writing, you're really not realizing, like, you're just writing what's in your spirit.
It's just
And I can
flowing.
tell
Yeah,
you
just
that
letting it go.
it was flowing. And it wasn't until I sat down and read it myself that I got scared.
Then you like read a few parts and you're like, ooh,
Yeah. I was like, ooh, this is tough. This is, ooh. And then I got fearful and I was like, I don't know if I want to publish this. And she said, listen, you never know who you're going to help with this book. She was like, even if you're only helping yourself, publish it.
Heck, I say that about my podcast. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
You don't know. And it's so funny. I have this letter that this woman wrote to me, and I just am not ready to read it because it's so deep. And every time I read it, I cry. So I'm not ready to read it, on air to anybody yet. But she wrote me this letter, and it's like everything. Like
Is this somebody you know?
No. This woman said, you don't know me, but I want to tell you how your book has helped me.
That's awesome. If that's the only person it ever helps ever, it was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it. And I have not been able to read it yet because I want to read it one day. Like, I want to go live and read it.
Yeah.
I'm just
you can't get through it.
I can't get through the letter yet. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to do it one day though. I'm going to get it.
That's good though. I mean, that means it's true. It hits you that way. And like I said, I do this podcast for recruiting, but really for my own knowledge. I've learned a lot myself in the last year. And my hope is that it will help someone. And I have a big help with season 2. When I announce that, I think that I'm hoping it's really going to help some people. But so I mean, like, let's back up a minute here, right? So first and foremost, I know we're live on YouTube. Oh, you just turned yourself sideways. There you go. And I know we're still live on Twitch, and I'll get this posted back up. You're gonna hear it in audio tomorrow, but I'll get it up on Facebook for people to see. We're gonna back up because, man, like, you get out of high school, you go to college, wasn't quite for you. You join the Navy, you go undesignated. You strike into a job. Then you're like, you know what? You have your first child. You decide, you know what? I'm not going to re-enlist active. I'm going to go reserves. You go into the reserves, have your second child. Then you decide to try recruiting because somebody said you should. It wasn't even necessarily on your radar. You do that. You get chosen to continue to do that, to stay that, to be a career recruiter. You make chief. You win. You become a grandma, become a Gigi. Then you win a beauty pageant. Then you write a book. Then you get a letter from somebody who you don't know, who to this day you can't read through that letter without crying. So you help them. That it's so touching to you. That's insane. I mean, you want to talk about successful, right? And I'm telling you right now, we don't want to reveal too much about the book because 100%, like, you should read it. Go buy it. Find $12. I'll lend you $12. Buy the book. Read the book. It'll be worth your time. And I'm not saying that because, Chief over here is making millions of dollars as a successful writer, because that's not why she wrote it. Not at all.
No.
Trust me, she's making more money in the Navy than she is as an author right now. It's okay. That's all right. But you should definitely check it out. And just the fact that you've done it, because even, getting a book published, is it easier now than it used to be, 20 years ago? Sure, but it's still not simple,
No.
So I'm sure you had to jump through hoops for that. So, you have these major successes, right, that you've had to jump through hoops to get there. And when you're doing these things, some of them I don't want to say necessarily pioneer, but you were in the stage where it wasn't commonplace yet, right? Females in the Navy, not commonplace yet. You had to score a 50 to be undesignated, I mean, you became a mom while you were active. They recently just changed. This is insane. I know you know this. They just put out, we're one of the only companies in the United States that gives paternity leave to dads, paid time off. As a dad, I got 10 days, and then they upped it to 14, and just recently they upped it for the dad, not the mom, the dad, to 12 full weeks of paid baby leave as a dad.
Absolutely.
The Navy really does care about your family, but as it grows, it changes, right? But you're not just a recruiter anymore, right? You write this book. And, obviously, like, you're in San Diego now, you're getting ready to travel back to Millington. You're coming up to what is it that you're doing now?
So my current position is I am the outreach and diversity manager for Navy recruiting. So what that means is I have the amazing opportunity to travel all over the United States and give scholarships away and talk to different schools and talk to them about what these scholarships are, how much they're worth, and how to apply for them. So, and the funny thing is, when they told me that I had this job, I asked if I could decline it.
Really?
Right, because I had interviewed to be an instructor. And so I wanted to be an instructor because that's in our ladder as NCs. Because, you're trying to make senior chief, so you want to do the things that are in your ladder. And it was in my ladder. So when they told me the admiral wants you to have this job, the admiral said, you're going to have this job.
Yeah.
Basically. It wasn't, he didn't want me to. You're going to have this job. I was like, well, can I decline? And of course, the Master Chief was like, no.
I mean, like, you can.
You could try, but you're not. You're coming. And so, but when I tell you this is the biggest blessing that I could have ever imagined, to be able to have the opportunity to talk to young men and women about their future and about opportunities for their future is unreal. And I get to do it all the time. I get to travel everywhere and go to diverse communities and talk to these young men and women about the opportunities that they didn't know that existed in the Navy, because that information not readily available to them. So when I come in and I'm giving these presentations, their mouths are dropping. The counselors are like, wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, most of the time there's so much misconception. I say this all the time. And that misconception, really what it turns into is, I didn't know. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know you got that. I didn't know you could do that, especially here in the Midwest. Like we talk about the Navy. I don't have a destroyer going up and down the White River. I don't have a carrier set in Lake Michigan. No. The Navy is a very non-visual thing, except for recruiters. And yes, I feel like us as recruiters, we do a good job, but we're still showing you a lifestyle that you don't readily see. You know what I mean?
You're absolutely correct.
Especially here, but it really does. Like the scholarships and things that we have, like a lot of schools, they're all about letting people come in for scholarships, this. Right? We don't want recruiters in here. Do you understand how many scholarships I can offer your students that still count for scholarships for your school? Oh, I didn't know.
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. I did a presentation to a room full of counselors. They were doing some kind of training where all the counselors in the city of Memphis was in one place. And because I took one of the directors of their school district on an embark, they invited me to come and talk to the counselors. So I got to present to every counselor in the city of Memphis.
Wow.
For every school.
That's what, I'm sure that was a lot. Memphis isn't tiny.
But you know what I told him? You know what I told him?
What?
You are the problem.
I bet they handled that real well.
They didn't, but it's okay because you don't owe me anything and I don't owe you anything, but I'm going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You are the problem. You are the reason why these kids are not getting the things that they need because you have taken it upon yourself to think that they don't need these scholarships because they don't need the military. Who are you to say what they need?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what we offer. Here's this $200,000 scholarship that we offer for this student who has a GPA of a 2.75 or higher.
Yeah.
But you just told these students that, oh, I don't care what could possibly be. I don't want you to have this because I don't believe in this.
Right.
Well, who are you?
Right. And we've talked about it a lot on here before. It's not, you don't have to be, I feel like there's this precedence with the military in a whole, because of the past, that like you either have to be in like dire straits, getting ready to go to jail, poor, you know, you have no family, you know, to join the military, and that is not the case, like at all.
No, we're not. Yeah, we are not that military anymore.
Not anymore. In fact, like some of those things I said, you can't even join anymore.
Yeah, we are not the military where if the judge says, oh, either go to the military or go to jail, that military doesn't exist anymore, at least not in the Navy.
You ain't getting in.
Yeah. And so that's why it's really important. And that's why I love what I do, because the stereotypes that they have about us is what makes it difficult for us to educate these kids on how important it is for them to get a scholarship to pay for college. Like, we're only asking you to give us 5 years on the back end. At the end of that 5 years, you walk away, you have no college debt.
No college debt. You have your college degree, and you got a jump start on saving some money. It's a good deal. But again, if you can qualify for it, right? Like this, it is a scholarship. It's not like.
Oh, we're not giving them away. You have to qualify.
Yeah,
you have
I mean,
to take the SAT or the ACT, and you have a specific score you got to get. And there are no waivers for SAT or ACT scores.
No, and think about like with you, right? People have this tendency to think like that we just give this stuff away or that anybody can join. Look, I mean, I know it was back in '92, but in '92 it was very much more lax, easier to join, but not for a female. You had to score a 50. You know, as you weren't even in a high school. Now, high school students now have to at least score 31, but I literally just put somebody in the Navy the other day who scored an 11. An 11. Now, they qualified for a job. That would have never happened
if they were a female.
Yeah, I mean the because that score only comes off the math and English, right? He still qualified for a job, but with an 11, you know, so that's just that side of it though. So you've had to jump over these hurdles. I mean, literally from the time you decided this is what I'm going to do, it was made harder and harder and harder. Like, you know, as a young woman in Texas that decides to do this, and with what you're doing now, it's almost full circle, right? Because you started on a scholarship and thought like, I got it made, but didn't realize the ins and outs of it, which is, look, there are great scholarships out there, but you got to make sure you understand what you're getting into. And I think a lot of times people are like, well, I have a scholarship, so I got to go. Not necessarily, right? Make sure that you understand it. So you've kind of come full circle on this. And when it comes to being,
I absolutely have.
And when it comes to being a very successful woman in the military, in the Navy, I mean, you've made chief, you get to travel all the time. You know, you have almost 30 years total service because of your reserve time. But I wouldn't even say that you're just a successful woman in the service. You know, I wouldn't even say that you're just a successful person in general. I mean, how many guys do I know that have 30 years of service and have made chief and have a published book and won some kind of, you know, maybe not beauty pageant because guys don't necessarily do that, you know, but something of those accolades to that, you know what I mean? Like, and I mean, let's be honest. Like, not only that, you are an African-American woman from the South. Not easy, right?
Not easy at all.
Louisiana, I can only imagine. Okay, so I've been down there before. There are parts of Louisiana that are very beautiful. I'm not, but I'm just saying. So, like for you, getting to do this and getting to go and give scholarships out, diversity type scholarships. I mean, you want to talk about some of the most rewarding thing you probably ever got to do.
It is absolutely one of the best things I've ever had to do, and I love my job. Like I actually extended a year to do this job for an additional year because our department is so depleted that if I retired this year like I was supposed to, our department would be non-existent.
And you extended on a job that originally you didn't want.
On a job I originally did not want, and I extended for a year to make sure there's some continuity in the department until we get some more people in there that will have the same passion and love for this job that I do, and hopefully we will have people that have the same love and compassion and desire to go out there and make a difference in people's lives. And I can only hope. I can only hope that this department continues to do this after I retire next year. I can only hope. Like that's my only hope, that this department remains as fluid and beautiful as it is, because it's important that we do this. It's so important that we do this.
And I think it's really cool to like think back, and I totally forgot that Montel Williams was in the Navy, and the fact that you saw him at school, and that like you remembered that, is really kind of cool. I totally forgot he was in the Navy. So if your book again, you're on Behind the Helm, episode 86. Make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe, do all the things. If you're listening to audio, you can still like on here too. Give us a 5-star rating. We're sitting with. Let's see how would I put this all in order? Navy sailor, mother, grandmother. No, Navy sailor, mother, Navy chief, grandmother, Miss Freedom USA woman division, published author, Latonya Perossier. Did I say it right? Yeah, okay, good. Perossier, right. And her book, Letter to the 8-Year-Old Me. Make sure that you find that. It's at Barnes & Noble. You can order it and check it out. It's might be worth your time. At least we hope so, right? That is the whole reason for it. So if you were to go back and not write a letter to 8-year-old you, this light, I'm telling you, one of these days, there it is. Not to 8-year-old you, but if you could go, because look, as recruiters, who do we talk to? Primarily, seniors, maybe some juniors, every now and then some younger folks too, but at the end of the day, if I'm talking to grade schoolers, it's not necessarily helping me get the job done right now. So it's kind of hard. But if you were to talk to an entire group of 8-year-old young women, young ladies that are looking at you and saying, wow, that's what and I will tell you that I guarantee that somebody will and say, wow, I want to be that woman one day. What would you tell them?
I would tell them to dream big and believe in everything that they want to believe in, want to be, because if they don't believe it, nobody else will. And you have to bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself, because when you're betting on yourself, you're going to always move to make sure you win.
Yeah.
You're going to always make sure you win. And winning doesn't mean always making money or being this famous person or anything like that. Winning means that everything that you put your heart and soul into, you do it because it makes you a better person. It makes you a better human. It inspires the next person beside you, or the next person in front of you, or the next person watching behind you. I always tell my sailors, pay it forward. Everything that I tell you, everything that I teach you, pay it forward, because I'm teaching this to you because I think that you deserve it.
Yep.
So the next person that is in your charge, they should deserve it as well.
I like it. That's 100% why I became a recruiter, because I wish I would have known the things that I know. That's why I do this podcast. I wish I would have known, and I just hope that somebody finds it, and it helps them, But
absolutely,
it's National Women's Appreciation Month, and what better way to appreciate the women that are in the military or the women in the world, but to show that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, and look at what you've overcome and have achieved and been able to do. And like you said, you have to dream big, but dreaming big is only part of it, right? It took hard work.
You gotta be willing to work.
It wasn't handed to you.
Nope, not at all.
So
you have to be willing to work.
So again, you're on episode 86, Behind the Helm, and make sure that you share this, because this could be great for somebody, anybody. Maybe some young girl out there will see this and say, "Wow." Well, not if you want. You're stuck. It's happening. So this is where I end the audio version of things, right? And we jump into our bonus content. And I want to tell you before we do that I'm so excited to re-enlist. I'm so excited this Sunday to be there with my family, and because of what I'm able to provide for them and do for them.
Absolutely.
That this job's been able to do, and I'm so excited to get to talk to, people like you who inspire others to be great, and hopefully this will inspire somebody to be great. However, there are those that sometimes need that help, right? So
absolutely,
we're gonna roll into a little bonus content in 3, 2, 1. You have no idea what we're getting ready to do you?
No, I don't.
Oh man, that's too bad. All right, so check this out. First and foremost, you won't be able to hear this, but people who are listening will be able to hear it, and you'll be able to hear it later. But anybody who's watched my show over the last probably about 2 months will know 100% what's getting ready to happen, and that's okay. But when we talk about people, there are people out there that sometimes need a little help to be inspired. They need a little help to get up and go, right? I had asked you, hey, what would be a great charity for that? And what one did you tell me?
Boys and Girls Club.
The Boys and Girls Club, right? Which is an amazing charity, and I'm actually going to pull up real quick and show the Boys and Girls Club of America, and they're celebrating female founders right now as well. During Women's History Month, we honor Elizabeth Hammersley and Mary and Alice Goodwin, the founders of the very first club. And, the Boys and Girls Club of America do absolutely amazing things for kids. They have scholarships, they have after-school programs, they have camps, they have, holy cow, I couldn't even tell you how much they do, because I was scrolling their site and I knew a little bit about it. And what I would tell you is that it's absolutely worth going and making a donation, read what they're about, and what I'm going to tell you, Chief, is that I'm going to give you a chance to win up to $110 for your charity from Behind the Helm.
Okay.
Because what you're getting ready to do is you're going to play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire $100 edition, because I'm not that rich, Girl Power edition, because it's Women's Appreciation Month. Do you remember Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yes, I do.
All right, so let's lay down the rules here a little bit. You can see my screen. Nobody can see you. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is... Nope, yep, it's fine. You'll be able to see it. They can hear the music. They can hear you. You just can't hear the music. I have the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire music playing. So just like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, you will have 3 lifelines. You have 50-50, a phone a friend, and an Ask the Audience. I have written down prior to because I made this, all the 50-50 so that I can't like try to trick you, and say I'm going to pick the 2 hard ones if you want to talk it out. And I also put down percentages for each question as well. So you're going to start out at $1. There are stopping points. If you get to those stopping points, that amount of money, no matter what, will go to your charity. And at the very end, you'll have an opportunity with a bonus question to win $10 extra for your charity. Regardless of if you miss or not, you still get the bonus question. So remember, you can only miss once, and then that's it. That's where it stops. So, are you ready?
I am ready.
Hope you brushed up on your women's history. I don't know. This might get a little hard. I'm just letting you know. But the first few will at least be around the Navy, so I think you'd be okay. You ready? Here we go. First question. Who was the first female Navy chief? Opha Mae Johnson, Deborah Sampson, Loretta Walsh, or Ruby Bradley?
Was the first female Navy chief?
Yep.
It is Loretta Walsh.
Final answer, right? Because you're absolutely right. For $1 to the Boys and Girls Club of America, Loretta Walsh. Chief Yeoman Loretta Walsh became not only the first woman to serve in the Navy and its first woman chief petty officer, but also the first woman to serve in a non-nursing capacity in any branch of the armed forces when she enlisted in 1917. Pretty awesome. All right, we're going to go on to your $2 question. Who was the first female admiral in the Navy? Fran McKee, Elena Durick, Nora Tyson, or Michelle Howard? I think I pronounced the second one wrong. It's Elena Durick, I think. I know, you know the enlisted side. I wasn't sure if this one was going to catch you or not.
Yeah. So, I know she's not. I have my glasses on, so I can't see. Hold on, let me put my glasses on.
Don't worry, nobody can see you.
Oh.
So it's who was the first female admiral in the Navy? Fran McKee, Aline Durick, Nora Tyson, or Michelle Howard?
Let's go with A.
A is in Aline Durick?
Fran McKee.
Are you sure?
No.
I thought you said A as in Aline Durick. Cough, cough.
Yeah, let's go with Aline Durick.
Aline Durick is the first female admiral in the Navy. I didn't know that either, so I wasn't sure if you would. Aline Durick became the first female admiral in the Navy in 1972. That was for $2 for your charity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 1972, first female admiral. Born. All right, I have one more female Navy question for you. And it's an officer question, so hopefully, I don't know. This one I think you might know. You're going for $5. It's your first stopping point. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Who is the highest ranking female in the U.S. Navy ever to serve? And I will tell you that I'm pretty sure they're still serving right now. Robin Braun, Patricia Ann Tracy, Lillian Fishburne, or Michelle Howard?
D, Michelle Howard. What should be the one?
D, Michelle Howard for $5. You're absolutely right. Michelle J. Howard became the first female 4-star admiral in the Navy in 2014, making her the highest ranking female in the Navy. Pretty awesome. All right. That's it for the Navy female questions. Now we're just going to get to some women's history questions. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
No matter what, your charity is getting $5, but this is for $10. Here we go. Awesome. Look, I'm on chief pay, okay? You know how it is. All right.
Yeah, I know.
In 1932, Amelia Earhart was the first woman to do what? Fly solo across the Atlantic, fly a plane, fly in the Air Force, or fly solo around the world?
D.
Now remember, this is saying successful.
Oh,
Because
successful. Okay, well, she flew across the Atlantic.
Right. We all know that Amelia Earhart, right, she was going to attempt, and then nobody knows what happened. And it would have made her the first female to do that. But however, successfully, she was the first female to do what again?
Fly across the Atlantic.
You're absolutely right for $10. She was. In May of 1932, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, which at the time was a big feat. It seems like nothing now, but that was, people didn't do that. All right, moving on for $20. Here we go. What was the first state to allow women to vote? California, Wyoming, Utah, or Colorado?
Let's see. Women to vote. That would be. Would it be? Is it Wyoming? Was it Wyoming? I think it was Wyoming.
Well, you got to think back how long ago too. Yeah, so I mean that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I'm gonna go with B, Wyoming. And you're absolutely right for $20. B, Wyoming.
Oh my goodness, I'm right.
In July 1890, the territory of Wyoming, which allowed women to vote, was admitted as a state. So they were allowing them to vote as it was a territory, but once they became a state, then it was the first state that had women voters. Wyoming became the first state with women suffrage for $20. All right, your next question is for $50. Your next stopping point. You still have all three lifelines, 50-50, ask the audience, and phone a friend. So here we go. This one's tough, but this is that halfway $50 stopper. Lizzie Magie was the inventor of the original Monopoly game. It wasn't called Monopoly. What was it called? The mortgage game, the boardwalk game, the landlord's game, or the real estate game?
I think it was the boardwalk game. I think it was the boardwalk. Well, maybe it was either the real estate. Okay, let me do 50-50 because I think it was real estate or the boardwalk game.
Oddly enough, the 50, you're going to use your 50-50. The 50-50 for this is neither one of those. It's either the mortgage game or the landlord's game.
Oh, Jesus. Let's do the landlord's game because you pay a lot of money for landing on people's property.
For $50 in the next stopping point using your 50-50, the landlord's game. And you are absolutely right. It was actually originally called the landlord's game when she created it and then later rebranded as Monopoly. And it was invented by a woman. Who would have known? All right, cool. So no matter what, now your charity is going to get $50. That's great. Let's move on to that $60 question. And I forgot to read, it was in 1904 that she created that. Believe it or not. The same game that we get now. In 1904, Lizzie Magie invented a game called the Landlord's Game, a forerunner of the Monopoly game. All right, your $60 question. Mary Keyes was the first woman to be granted a U.S. patent. What did she invent? Alphabet blocks, submarine telescope and lamp, technology of weaving straw with silk and thread, or a straw broom and pan?
Oh my goodness.
And we can definitely, just like always, feel free to kind of talk this out. I mean, let's think about it. Looking at alphabet blocks, I'm pretty sure we probably had those even before we granted U.S. patents.
Yeah.
This is straight off of a website. I never even heard of a submarine telescope and lamp, and I'm in the Navy. The other two kind of make sense. Straw broom in a pan. What do we have patents when those were invented? I don't know. Think of it like that.
Yeah. Let's go with submarine telescope and lamp. C.
C is actually this one, which I would think would probably be a really good guess.
Let's go with C.
That's where you said C. Okay. So a technique of weaving straw with silk and thread, and you are absolutely right for $60. On May 5th, 1809, Mary Keyes was the first recipient of a patent granted to a woman by the USPTO for a technique of weaving straw with silk and thread. Pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. Your next question is that next stopping point for $75. You still have 2 lifelines. You have your Ask the Audience and Phone a Friend. And here we go. Sally Ride is most famous for being the first woman to do what? Enter space, race in NASCAR, win 5 gold medals, or become the first female CEO of a Fortune 500 company.
Sally Ride. Doesn't even sound. I know she can do NASCAR.
I feel like with the name, but that is actually her real name. It's not a nickname, because that's what I thought too.
Yeah. Yeah, they try to get you with the NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's say interspace.
She absolutely was the first woman to go into space. On June 18th, 1983, Sally Ride became the first American woman in space as a crew member on Space Shuttle Challenger for STS-7.
Wow.
Yeah, not the Challenger that blew up. It didn't make it to space.
It didn't make it.
No. All right, so you're at $75. A stopping point right here. You're safe. No matter what, your charity's going to get $75. You still have 2 lifelines, and you have 2 questions left. Okay, so if you don't know it, don't be scared to use it. All right, here we go for $90. In 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman to what? Win a gold medal, be ordained a minister, earn a medical degree in the U.S., or own a business?
Let's ask the
Say again? Oh no, you froze up. So we're waiting on her to reconnect. The question is, in 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman to what? Win a gold medal, be ordained a minister, earn a medical degree in the U.S., or own a business? And give us just a minute here. I think she switched off of Wi-Fi as she's moving because she's actually heading towards a plane. We're going to have to do this the hard way. Oh, there she comes. Making her way back in. Little connection issues. That's all right. We're just in the bonus content. It's not a big deal as she's trying to connect. So again, you're here on Behind the Helm, episode 86. We're in a little bonus content, trying to win some money for charity, the Boys and Girls Club of America, with our special guest. But she had some connection issues. We're on our last 2 questions. I can see you now. There you are. I can hear you. Can you hear me okay? Maybe turn your video off.
Okay.
Since nobody else can see you, it'll help with the connection. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're on the $90 question. In 1849, Elizabeth Blackwell became the first woman to what? Win a gold medal, be ordained a minister, earn a medical degree in the U.S., or own a business?
Can we use the audience?
Yes. And for the percentages on this one, okay. My light turned off again. Earned a medical degree in the U.S. has 62%. Win a gold medal has 32%. Be ordained a minister and own a business were both very low.
Let's go with win a gold medal. Hi, thank you. Thank you.
Win a gold medal was only 30-some%. Earn a medical degree in the U.S. was 62%.
Let's go with that one. Let's go with C then. Earn a medical degree.
And you are absolutely right. For $90 for your charity, Elizabeth Blackwell was the first woman to graduate from medical school, MD, and a pioneer in educating women in medicine. You ready for that last $100 question?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
I am.
What woman was arrested for voting in the presidential election of 1872? Harriet Tubman, Ida B. Wells, Rosa Parks,
Ida B. Wells,
or Susan B. Anthony?
Ida B. Wells.
You want to use your phone a friend because you have it? It's the last question.
Let's see. I'm arrested to vote. No, I think it's Susan B. Anthony is on the coin, so I know it's not Harriet Tubman. It's not Rosa Parks. So it's are these two women. Susan B. Anthony is it? She's on it. Let's go with Susan B. Anthony.
You're absolutely right. For $100, Susan B. Anthony devoted more than 50 years of her life to the cause of women's suffrage. After casting her ballot in the 1872 presidential election in her hometown of Rochester, New York, she was arrested, indicted, tried, and convicted for voting illegally. Amazing.
Wow.
For your bonus question, real quick, I know you got to get going soon. You're getting on your flight. What is the #1 military podcast in the Midwest? Is it E-Talent, Behind the Helm, In the Box, or E14, A Sailor's Voice?
Behind the Helm.
You're absolutely right. Behind the Helm, the #1 military podcast in the Midwest. And look, this is you. Big winner, $110. Behind the Helm will be donating $110 to the Boys and Girls Club of America. And I just want to say so much thank you. Thank you for coming on, sharing your story with us, and talking to us just about the amazing things that you've been able to achieve as not just a woman in the service, but a woman here in the United States, and telling those future women to dream big and try hard and go for what you want. Because let's be honest, when you were a kid, did you ever think you'd be a published author? Probably
absolutely not. Never would have dreamed it in my entire life.
Yeah, so I know you got to get on this flight, but I know that you'll be out in this area soon, and I will catch up with you then. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, but I'll make sure to make that donation to Boys and Girls Club of America. Congratulations and good job, and be safe.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. It's definitely been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And I'll make sure to get the video posted on Facebook again. I don't know what happened, but I'll get it shared for you, okay? All right, good luck on your flight. I'm going to go ahead and end it. I know you're losing connection. Have a good one.
You too. You too. Bye-bye.
So hard, so hard when you're traveling to get those connections and everything working right. However, though, I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I have a great guest next week as well. And for our very, very last show in the month of March, it's going to be another amazing female with a great story. And I hope that you all can get in. For those of you on Facebook, I know you're watching this after the fact, and it's posted. It wasn't live. I don't know what happened. But yeah, we'll make do. Luckily, I'm recording, so I'll get it up there. You're just going to miss kind of the beginning of it, but I don't think you're really going to miss much. So I'm going to get off here and get that uploading, and hopefully you guys can see it soon. Thank you so very much to everyone. Again, let's get to those 1,000 followers. Make sure you go out, you find this book, Letter to the 8-Year-Old Me, and yeah, give it a look. Easy book to read, and go to the Boys and Girls Club of America, whether it's online and make a donation, or if there's one near you, see how you can help. So until next time, thanks everybody.